I've definitely stopped paddling upstream, for sure. And I can feel my boat turning. And I really want to drop the oars, but it feels a little bit out of control to me in this topic about relationships. They feel like I don't have as much control over my creative experience. And I want to soothe about that.
But that is because we want to explain why that is.
Yes.
As our friend is talking, maybe the question why is a good one every now and again. We want to explain why that is. And then we want to dialogue with you about some things to get you turning this way.
Right.
The reason that you feel that you don't have control is because you don't.
I knew it.
And what you don't have control of is what anybody else does.
Right.
But what you do have control of is your response to what they do, which then controls the next one who comes to you. See, it's like this. So here you are having an experience, and whatever you are now living, we keep giving you all of these important things that are the most important thing of the seminar. You have quite a list of them, and add this one to it. So it's really important to realize that your now is as a result of how you've been flowing, and so a lot has caused it to frame up the way that it is, and there just is not very much you can do to change what is. Not much that you can do right now to change what is. All of your power is in changing your vibration, which changes what comes next. But what's happening right now, it's like the manifestation. Let's say you're in the middle of an argument with someone. That is the manifestation of past vibration. And so not much that you can say is going to fix it right now, because you didn't just create it just now. You've been creating it. Now you're living what you've been creating. It's sort of like you made your pie, and now you've got this pie. And you can say, well, I don't want to eat it. And we say, you don't have any choice. You made your pie, now eat it. We don't really say it that way. Well, we did. We did say that. What you've been flowing is what is happening in your experience. And you don't have as much leverage in action as you all action-oriented beings believe that you do. So what we want you to do is to do whatever you need to do, because you've got to do it, because you can't stop doing. In other words, you can't stop going to work, or you can't stop taking care of your children, or whatever it is. You're going to do it. But while you're doing it, do your best to point with the flow, so that what you're now creating now through thought is framing up something that when you get there, you're going to like it more.
Yes.
And so when you say, I feel like I don't have control, we want to acknowledge that that's an accurate feeling, because you don't have control of what's unfolding right now, but you do have control over what will unfold later, if you will exercise your control now while what you don't like is unfolding. That's hard, isn't it? Because most of you are not doing a good job of exercising control while what's unfolding right now is unfolding. Instead, you're having knee-jerk responses to it. So you don't like it, and you have that kind of knee-jerk response, and then what comes next is just like what this just was. Now that was brilliant.
Yes.
It was the perfect explanation of what's been going on.
Yes.
Esther said to Jerry the other day, they were having a wonderful meal in a restaurant in their favorite place in Portland, and looking over the water and having a nice meal. And at the very moment that they were having this meal, someone was breaking into their car. And we'll tell you all of the reasons why in a moment here. And Esther is saying during the meal, they were doing their best to slow down and bask while they were eating. So they were eating slowly, and they were acknowledging all of the wonderful things while they were eating and breathing. And in the middle of this, Esther had a flash of insight, and she said, you know, Abraham never bails us out of a problem. They're always guiding us about how to mold our thoughts so that down the road things improve. And what she was realizing is what we just are saying to you. What's playing out will play out because it's the result of how you've been flowing energy. So it's really better to think in terms of prepaving your life than it is to control it right here and now.
Right.
Well, you're really seriously wanting the answer to why someone broke into your car?
I think it'd be fun to hear. Is it a relationship issue?
Isn't everything? Is your relationship with one another or with one thing or another. Everything is. Everything is that. That's why you live in this co-creative universe. It was about, well, the first thing Jerry said when he realized they'd parked in the only shady spot in a very hot parking lot. And it was back in the corner. There were hardly any cars there. And it just was the perfect car for the people who were looking for in terms of its location. And they had chosen that location because they were a vibrational match and didn't realize it to someone who was looking for that. And the reason that they were a vibrational match to it is because Esther, particularly, Jerry also had been beating the drum of a little bit of victimhood relative to a condition they could not control. Someone lied to them, someone deceived them, someone told them one thing and did another, and it felt uncontrollable. And right before that, another friend of Esther's confronted her through an email about it, and Esther replied a sort of justifying email from an attitude of, this isn't my fault, this is being done to me. And Esther said, after the car was broken into, I did not realize that I stood in the role of victim and beat the drum very good on it. I have not done that in years. I have not felt that in years, she said. And this week I've been doing it, and this week a manifestation alerted me to something that I was doing that I was unaware I was doing. And Jerry said, the last time this happened to me was 40 years ago, also in a Portland parking lot. So we say another path of least resistance. In other words, old vibrations die hard. And every vibration is where you last left it. And the universe is not trying to be funny or clever when it answers your vibrations precisely. So now what?
Well, what you just said about a vibration being left at the last place that we had it, like Jerry with the Portland parking lot, that just resonated with me because I feel that a lot of years have ensued, but I feel like there's a little bit active in my vibration about relationships, about them feeling not easy or out of control.
Of course, but you can do. But the thing is, what you want to do, but you don't need to go back and change it, and you don't need to change it all at once. You just change it a little bit at a time as it's happening.
How do I do that?
Before we go there, we want to tell you a humorous end to this story in relationship to the prison. So that a week or a day or two after that break-in, Jerry and Esther were in Olympia, Washington, and at 2 o'clock in the morning the telephone rang, and Esther answered it in a feeling of alarm, and it was her cell phone. And a man said, I can't believe I'm talking to you. He said, I just got out of federal prison. And he said, I wanted to thank you for all of the free materials that you've been sending to us. He said, it's been so helpful to me and so many others of us who are here. And he said, but I'm on the other side of the law now. And Esther thought, good. And he said, I have a job at a restaurant now, and I found a beautiful briefcase in the dumpster that has your telephone number on it, a name on it. And he said, I brought it home and didn't realize it then, and I put it under my desk, and I was sitting there thinking about reading your book before I went to sleep, and here I have your book in one hand and your briefcase in the other. He said, I have shivers all over me. And Esther said, so do I. And he never did realize that he was calling her at 2 o'clock in the morning. He was so excited he had just ended his shift. So now, the point that we're making with all of that is that everything is vibrational, and everything that you touch, everyone you interact with, everything that you've ever lived is affected by your vibration. And the universe has this uncanny way of constantly delivering to you in your powerful now, through the path of least resistance, the fruits of your vibrational labors. So before we get to what you're wanting to talk about, and we will talk about it in detail because it's a big topic for everyone here, is that so as you're standing in your now, living out the results of whatever you've been flowing, the vibration that you're offering now in response to whatever it is you're responding to is prepaving your future experience. And so that is the reason that it is really worthwhile to diminish anything that isn't pleasing you here while you look more positively down the road for things, and that you examine what you're living now for any positive nuggets that you might throw them down the road also, and that if you are going to examine your past at all, that you examine it only with an ear to the ground to find the elements of it that you want to throw down the road in your prepaving, because the universe is exact in what it brings back to you every single time. So to really lay this out in a very clear way, what I'm living right now is creating my future experience. And many of you would say, yes, but what do I do about the once future experience, now present experience that I am living? And we say, make the best of it, because nothing that you can do with your action is going to change it very much. And what happens when you try to fix it with your action, all you do is get overwhelmed by it, because you can't fix it with your action. There's not enough leverage in action. And so then you just get tired from it. Then it begins to feel more like a struggle. Then you begin to beat up on yourself for being a failure, upon others for not being cooperative. Why not instead just say, I am living the results of how I have flowed energy, and let's see, how do I like it? Pretty good or not so much? In other words, on some topics good, on some topics not so much. And then say to yourself in a very realistic fashion, what am I doing right now about what I'm creating in my future? And if your now is filled with an awareness of what you're flowing down here, then what happens is it just gets better and better and better until we don't have to have this conversation at all. In other words, it's just your conversation is all about, can you believe how good it is becoming? Yes.
Yes.
So let's talk some specifics just for a little bit. So you tell us anything that you want to tell us, and we'll just make fun of you.
Sounds good. Okay. I like my now about relationships very much. A lot of good things are happening, and I really resonated with what you said about the now and the vibration now. It feels like it's getting a lot easier. I don't feel like I'm doing things anymore. I feel like I'm feeling.
Everything that you're saying there is a completely downstream positive approach to it. In other
That's
words,
where I'm supposed to go, right?
Well, that's where you are right now.
Right.
That's not where you were when you wanted to sit in the chair.
Okay.
And it's easy for you to not be there, but just now,
Let's
what you
go
said.
back. Yeah.
Well, we're not trying to get you to go back.
Okay.
Unless you want to. We just want to show you that what you just said just now, there is no room for vibrational improvement in that. And if that were the tone of your dialogue day in and day out, your future experiences would be fantastic in relationship.
Okay. Well, it mostly is, but there is a little bit of dust under the rug about feeling like when I do get involved with someone, which is happening from time to time, feeling a little bit like, what if I lose myself? Which this is the thing I'm telling you is I'm calling loss of control. But what if I lose myself and my self-love? Or what if
all right, now let's talk about
things
this
feel out of control?
So it's a valid concern.
It's in there.
But let's talk about it in terms of what you now know.
Right.
So for that to happen, that would have to mean that you could get pointed in opposition of who you are and not feel negative emotion as the indicator.
Oh, that's right.
So there's two wonderful things that just turned up there. One is I can't lose myself because my emotion would always let me know. And the other really good news is when I feel negative emotion, it's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Right. It's like the parking lot
The
incident.
negative emotion that I'm feeling is letting me know that something's out of whack, that I don't want to be out of whack. Let's see, what can I do to get it back into flow? What can I think right now? And so what it comes down to is where we sort of started with you. When you care about how you feel, you see, you're sort of coming in the back door of this. You're saying, I like to feel good, and I especially like to feel good in relationships. Right. So I want to attract a good feeling relationship in which I can feel good in.
Yes.
So I can feel good. And we say, as sort of what the human approach is. The Abraham approach is, I like to feel good, and I'm going to attract in response to whatever it is I'm offering vibrationally. So if I don't feel good, I'm going to attract stuff that doesn't feel good, and if I do feel good, I'm going to attract stuff that does feel good. So it seems to us a more reasonable approach. I'm going to feel good so that I can attract a good feeling relationship, not I'm going to attract a good feeling relationship so I can feel good.